Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a tutorial on how I crochet this summer top. So I've been seeing this top on Pinterest and I've had it on my recreate list for a while now. So for this top I'm going to be making 2 cups, then I'm going to stitch the tip together, then make the mesh at the bottom and add a rope to tie at the back. So let's begin. So I'm going to be using 2 strands of yarn for this project because one strand of this particular yarn is just too tiny and it wasn't giving exactly what I wanted to give for this project. Please take note that you can use any yarn of your choice, just make sure you're using the right hook size. So I'll be using a size 3.5mm hook. And I'm starting with a chain length that measures from the side of my breast to my nipple. So you want this starting chains to start from your nipple down to the back part like this. That's the chain you're going to be working with because we're going to be working this way until you've worked a measurement that covers your breast. For me that's 16 chains, so I've made 16 chains, and the next thing I'm going to do is to add 2 extra chains. So 1 and 2, and that makes it a total of 18 chains. Next thing I'm going to do is to skip the first 2 chains and make a double crochet stitch into the 3rd chain. So yarn over and into the 3rd chain I'm going to insert my hook, drag a loop from behind. So I have 3 loops on the hook now. I'm going to yarn over, pull through the first 2 loops, then yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops, and this is the first double crochet stitch. And please take note that the first 2 chains at the beginning does not count as a stitch. So I'm going to go into the next chain and make another double crochet stitch, and from here I'm just going to make double crochet stitches into all of the chain until I get to the last chain where I'm going to do something a little different. So just continue working your double crochet stitches into the chains until you reach the last chain. Then I'm going to come back and tell you what to do. So I'm at the last chain now, and what I'm going to do here is to do 2 double crochet stitches, chain 1 and double crochet stitches into that last chain. So I'm going to go into that last chain now and I'll make my first double crochet stitch, and into that same chain I'm going to make another double crochet stitch. Then I'm going to chain 1, and into that same chain again I'll make 2 more double crochet stitches. So 1 and 2 again. So I've made a double crochet stitch, chain 1 and a double crochet stitch into the last chain. Alright, so this is what it looks like. And after this I'm going to start working into the opposite side of the stitches that we've already worked. So we're working this way now. So I'm just going to go into the next stitch, the other side of the next stitch. So this is the first, the stitches we made into the chain. I'm going to be working into the opposite sides of these other stitches. So this is just to show you. So into that stitch I'm going to make a double crochet stitch, so into the opposite stitches, and I'll go again into the next one and make a double crochet stitch, and into the next one again a double crochet stitch, and I'm going to keep making double crochet stitches until I get to the last stitch there. So continue this way until you get to the last. So this is the last stitch. Remember I told you the chain 2 from the beginning doesn't count as a stitch. So into the very last stitch now I'm just going to make my last double crochet stitch. So I'm now working into that chain 2, and to check if this is correct I usually count the stitches on the both sides. So the chain 1 here divides the both side, so I'm just going to count the stitches on the both side and it has to be equal. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17. So I should have 17 stitches on the other side as well. So after that chain 1 gap I'm going to count the stitches on the other side again. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17. So I have 17 stitches on the both sides. So this chain 2 at the beginning here, we don't count it, so it doesn't count as a stitch. So this is me just counting again. All right, just to confirm. So I have 17 stitches on this side, and after the chain 1 space I have 17 stitches on the other side as well. So to continue, I'm going to chain 2, turn the project, and remember the chain 2 does not count as a stitch, so I'm going to be working double crochet stitch into the very first stitch there, and then into the next stitch a double crochet stitch, and I'll be working double crochet stitches all the way until I get to the top. So until I get to that part where I did the 2 double crochet stitch, chain 1, 2 double crochet stitch. So until I get to that space, I'm going to work so this is my last double crochet stitch now, and I am in that chain 1 space. And into that chain 1 space I am going to make 2 double crochet stitches, chain 1, and 2 double crochet stitches into that space. So here's the first double crochet stitch, the second double crochet stitch, chain 1, and again 2 double crochet stitches into the same space, that chain 1 gap. So 2, and then I'm going to go right into the next stitch and make a double crochet stitch. So into the next stitch I'm going to make 1 double crochet stitch, into the next one 1 double crochet stitch. So I'm just going to keep making 1 double crochet stitches into the previous stitches until I get to the end of the row, until I get to the end. So I am at the end now, and I'm just going to go ahead and make my last double crochet stitch into that chain there, into the last stitch there, sorry. So there's a chain 2 there, but we're not working into it. All right, so for the next row I'm going to chain 2, turn the project, go into the first stitch, make double crochet stitches, and make double crochet stitches all the way until I get to this chain 1 space where I'm going to make an increase, then come back down. So I'm just going to work my double crochet stitches all the way until I get to that chain 1 space. So I am back at the chain 1 space now, and into that space I'm going to make an increase, which is 2 double crochet stitches, chain 1, and 2 double crochet stitches. So here's the first double crochet stitch, the second double crochet stitch, chain 1, and into the same space 2 more double crochet stitches. And after that I'm just going to go right into the next stitch and make a double crochet stitch, and into the next stitch, and then I'm just going to make double crochet stitches into all of the stitches all the way until I get to the end of the row there. So this is what it looks like, and when I get to the end I'm going to make 2 chains. So 2 chains, turn the project, go back up. When I get to the top I'm going to make an increase, which is double crochet stitches, 2 double crochet stitches, chain 1, and 2 double crochet stitches, and I'm going to walk back down, and then I'll keep walking up and down until I get to the length that I want for this project. So continue this way until you get to the length, and I'll come back to tell you what to do next. So I have worked this, and this is a total of 7 rows for me. This is the measurement that covers my breast, and the next thing I'm going to do is to work on this part. So this is the part that is going to go to the back part. This is the part that is going to cover down to the back where we're going to tie. So for this part I'm going to chain 2 here and make double crochet stitches into the spaces on the sides. So turn the project like this, and into the spaces I'm going to be working double crochet stitches. So guys, it's not that serious, just work into the spaces, okay? So I'm going into the very first space now, and I'll make a double crochet stitch, and into the next space a double crochet stitch, and into the next space a double crochet stitch. So like I said, it's not that serious, just walk into the spaces that you find, and if you really want to see what I'm doing, maybe just zoom in and just take your time and walk into the spaces. So until you get to the end, just walk double crochet stitches into the spaces until you get to the end. So this is what I have worked until I get to the last space, and next thing I'm going to do is to chain 2, and for the next row I'm going to be doing a reduction at the beginning of the row. So yarn over, go into the very first stitch, insert your hook, grab a loop from behind, then go into the next stitch, grab a loop from behind. So now you'd have 4 loops on your hook. You're going to yarn over and pull through the first 3 loops. So pull through the very first 3 loops, and now you have 2 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops, and into the next stitch you're just going to make your double crochet stitch like you've been doing, and just make your double crochet stitches all the way until you get to the end of this row. So continue like this, and I'll meet you at the end here. So I am at the end now, and I'm just going to work my double crochet stitch normal because I'm not making any decreases on this side. So I've chained 2, turned the project, and I'm going to continue working my double crochet stitches for this row until I get to where I have 2 stitches left, because I'm going to be making reductions on this side as well. So I'm just going to keep placing my double crochet stitches until I have 2 stitches left. So I have 2 stitches left now, and I'm going to be making a reduction on this side as well. So for this reduction, I'm going to yarn over, go into that stitch, grab a loop from behind, then go into the last stitch, grab a loop from behind, and now I have 4 loops on the hook. Then I'm going to yarn over and pull through the first 3 loops, and then yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. So I've made a reduction on that side. So I'm going to chain 2 for the next row. I'm also going to be doing a reduction because we're doing reductions only on one side. So I've chained 2. I'm going to turn the project now, and I'm beginning this row with a reduction. So this is the reduction on one side, just to show you what I'm doing. So to reduce, I'm going to show you again. Yarn over, go into the first stitch, grab a loop from behind, go into the next stitch, grab a loop from behind. So you'd have 4 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 3 loops, and yarn over and pull through the last 2 loops. Then I'm just going to continue working the double crochet stitch into the next stitches until I get to the end. And when I get to the end, I'm just going to continue as normal because I am not making any decrease on this end. So for this end, I'm going to work into the last stitch, chain 2, work into the very first stitch. So I'm not doing any reduction on this side. I'm just going to continue working my double crochet stitches until I have 2 stitches left on this side where I'm going to make a reduction. So I have 2 stitches left now, and to reduce, I'm going to yarn over, go into that stitch, grab a loop from behind, go into the last stitch, grab a loop from behind, yarn over and pull through the first 3 stitches, yarn over and pull through the last 2, chain 2, turn the project, and for this part I'll be reducing as well. So reduction as how I've showed you before. So you can go back to see how I did the reductions at the beginning and at the end of the rows. And after that, I'm just going to work my double crochet stitch into the following stitches until I get to the end of the row. And then I'm just going to work more rows of this until I have the length that I want. And for the length that I want, I'm just going to put it this way and check it like this. Note that if you work more rows, it gets to the point that it's going to cover and you will not be able to tie it properly. This is me just showing you, so make sure to check, just check that it has covered your back just like this, so that you can have space to tie your top. So you're going to have to work 2 identical panels for this, and here are my both panels. This is where I'm going to stitch the tip together. So this is how I'm going to place it. So the straight part is going to be under, while the slanty part is going to be up, because we're going to be doing the mesh on the straight part. Alright, so to attach this piece together, I'm going to be attaching only the increase part, that is the 2 double crochet stitch, chain 1 and 2 double crochet stitches on the both sides. So I'm just going to place the both panels like this, insert my hook into the double crochet stitch inside the first double crochet stitch inside the chain 1 space. So this is me just trying to locate it and show you. So I'm just going to insert my hook that way, then I'm going to tie, and I'm just going to go ahead and stitch this. So you can stitch this whichever way that you think is fine for you. It's not that deep, just do your stitch, but just make sure it's clean. So I'm just going to go into the both panels, match the stitches, and go into the chain 1, match the stitches, attach, and then go into the remaining 2 double crochet stitches on the other side of the both panels. Then I'm going to just attach. Then I'm going to tie to secure the stitches that we just did. So this is what it's looking like, and then I'm going to cut. So once I'm done with this, next thing I'm going to do is to make single crochet stitches all around the edges. So I'm going to start from the down part just like this, and then I'm just going to work single crochet stitches all the way until I get to this part where I'm going to do something different. So I'm going to be working shells on this part, then I'll walk back down here and then come back here and do the mesh stitch. So if you stopped at this point here, you can skip the part where I'm going to be doing now. So what I'm doing now is to make slip stitches just so that I can come back to that down part and work there. So I just want to come back to, because I don't want to cut the yarn. This is why I am working slip stitches all the way to this down part. But if you worked your rows and you stopped at this part right here, then you need to skip the slip stitches that I'm about to do now. So this is because I want to come back down here and start working my single crochet stitches there. Okay, so if you stopped here like me, then you want to do the slip stitches. So for the slip stitch, I'm just going to go into that stitch, drag a loop from behind and pull through. So just watch what I'm doing. So this is just a way for me to get back to the down part because I do not want to cut the yarn. I just want to keep working. Okay, so this is what I mean. So if I had stopped at this point when I worked my rows, there will be no need for the extra slip stitches row. So for the next thing, I'm going to chain 1 and I'm going to be working single crochet stitches into the spaces. Okay, for the single crochet, I'm just going to insert my hook into the next space, grab a loop from behind, yarn over and pull through. So into the spaces of these rows of double crochet stitches I made, I'm just going to be making single crochet stitches. So like I said, it's nothing serious, just make your single crochet stitch into these spaces. So go into the spaces and make single crochet stitches. And you're just going to continue working all the way until you get to this point. Then I'll show you how to work your single crochet stitches into the remaining stitches. So you're just going to jump into the next stitch of the cup and continue working your single crochet stitch. So for this part now is easier because you're just going to be working into every stitch. So you're going to go into every double crochet stitch that you have in the triangular cup that you made, and you're just going to work single crochet stitches all the way again. And you're just going to keep working your single crochet stitches until you get to this point. And at this point, I'm just going to place a single crochet stitch into the stitches that I used to attach the both panels together. Then I'll jump into the next stitches in the second cup and just continue placing my single crochet stitches until I get to the end of this part. So I'm just placing single crochet stitches into the edges. So this is just to give the project a defined look and something more clear to work on when we start doing the mesh. So I'm at this point now. I've worked my single crochet stitches into the cup, and I'm just going to jump into the spaces of the double crochet stitches I made, and I'll just place single crochet stitches in all the spaces until I get to that end. Then I'll come back to tell you what to do next. So I've finished working my single crochet stitches up until this point. So to turn to the next corner, I'm going to chain 1, and then I'm just going to place my single crochet stitches into this other corner, and I'm just going to work this down all the way down. So this part is easier to see because I'm just going to be working into every stitch. So I'm just going to be placing single crochet stitches until I get to this point. And when I get to this point, I am going to chain 1 again, then continue working on the other corner. So locate the spaces and place a single crochet stitch. So the spaces in between these rows, I'm just going to locate them and place single crochet stitches until I get to this point where I'm going to stop, and then I'll start doing the shells. So I finished working my single crochet stitch into this top part, and at this point this is the top of the top, so I'm going to be making shells here. So for the shells, I'm just going to go into the very first stitch of the cup there and make a single crochet stitch. Then I'm going to skip 2 stitches, 1, 2, and into the third stitch I'm going to make 5 double crochet stitches. So into the third stitch I'm going to place 5 double crochet stitches. So that's the first one, the second one, the third one, the fourth one, and the fifth one. And after that I am going to skip the next 2 stitches, and into the third stitch I'm going to place a single crochet stitch. So a single crochet stitch. So this is what it looks like. And then I'm going to skip the next 2 stitches again, and into the third stitch I'm going to make 5 double crochet stitches. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. After that I'll skip the next 2 stitches, and into the third one I'm going to place a single crochet stitch. So skip the next 2 stitches, and into the third one place 5 double crochet stitches. After that, skip the next 2, and into the third one a single crochet stitch. Skip the next 2, and into the third one 5 double crochet stitches. And you're going to continue like this until you get to the middle part. Like, this is all what we're going to do for the top of the top. I don't know how to say that. So this is like the top part, and I'm just going to continue working this shell stitch until I get to the other side. So I have come to this end, and I have 2 stitches left, and I'm going to go into the middle stitch there and place my single crochet stitch. So I have to do the same thing on the other side. That means I'll have to skip 2 stitches on the other cup now. So if you worked your stitches and it doesn't really go just the way mine did, so see, I have 2 stitches before the attached part there. So if you have 3 stitches or 1 stitch before this middle part here, I advise you skip that 2 stitches, that 3 stitches or 1 stitch, and then go ahead to do your single crochet stitch into that middle part there. Then skip the same number of stitches that you skip on the other part, and then do your shell, which is a 5 double crochet stitches. So I skipped 2 stitches, and I'm making my 5 double crochet stitches on this part here. So after skipping two stitches, I'm making my 5 double crochet stitch into the third one on this other side. This is because we want to have the same thing on the both cups. So I'm going to skip the next 2 stitch, and into the third one make a single crochet stitch, skip the next 2, and into the third one make 5 double crochet stitches. So just the way we did on the other part of the panel. I hope you get this on this explanation. Alright, so I'm going to continue working the shells until I get to that point there. So you're skipping those stitches and making a single crochet stitch into this attached part there, because I feel like the shell stitch is not going to come out nice in that middle part there, and we're trying to have the same number of shells on the both panels. So I've come to this part now, and I have just 1 stitch left, and I'm just going to go ahead, skip that 1 stitch, and make my single crochet stitch into the next one. It's not that deep, just make sure to have the same number of shells on the both panels. So I'm just going to continue working my single crochet stitch on this part that has the rows, just like I did before, until I get to the end. So I have worked my single crochet stitches up until this point, and for the next corner I'm going to chain 1 and continue working my single crochet stitches into the stitches on this side. So this part is a bit hard to walk through because this is the part where I did the slip stitches to get back down to the bottom part of this top. So I'm just going to go off camera to work my slip stitches up until the down part, then I'll come back to tell you what to do next. So continue working your single crochet stitches until you get to this point here, and then we'll start working the mesh stitches at the bottom part. So I'm done working my single crochet stitches now. So this is just to show you, this is the top part of our top, and I have 5 shells on the both sides. So this is the top, and at the bottom part I'm going to be working the mesh stitch. Alright, so to begin the mesh stitch I'm going to chain 8. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and after that I am going to skip 5 stitches. So 1 2 3 4 5, and into the 6th stitch I'm going to make a double crochet stitch. So these 8 chains I made at the beginning stands for a double crochet stitch and chain 5. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to chain 5. 1 2 3 4 5, then skip 5 stitches. 1 2 3 4 5, and into the 6th stitch I'm going to make a double crochet stitch. And after that I'm going to chain 5. 1 2 3 4 5, skip 5 stitches. 1 2 3 4 5, and into the 6th one make a double crochet stitch. So this is how we're going to start our mesh stitch row. Chain 5 again, skip 5 stitches. 1 2 3 4 5, and into the 6th one make a double crochet stitch. So this is how we're going to be working the first row of the mesh stitch. Chain 5, skip 5 stitches, and into the 6th one place a double crochet stitch. So this is what it looks like, and you're going to continue working this mesh stitch until you get to this point. So we're not going to be working on this other part because this is where we're going to do the second mesh. So you're going to continue working this until you get to this point. So I've worked to this point, and I'm just going to count my last 5 stitches, and into the 6th one I am going to place my double crochet stitch. So chain 5. 1 2 3 4 5, and into the 6th stitch there I am going to place my last double crochet stitch. So you see my last double crochet stitch ends where the cup ends, but if yours has to go into this other part, it doesn't really matter. Just do your last stitch and then we'll go to the next row of the mesh stitch. So for the next rows we're going to be doing reductions on the both sides. So for the reduction on this very side I'm going to chain 3. 1 2 3, turn the project, and I'm going to count 2 stitches back. So 1 2, and into the 3rd stitch I'm going to place a double crochet stitch. And that's how I'm going to be making reductions on this side. So the next thing I'm going to do is chain 5. 1 2 3 4 5, and then I'm going to skip 2 chains in here, and into the 3rd one I'm going to place a double crochet stitch. And this is how we're going to be working the mesh stitch. So this is what it looks like after the reduction on that end. So I'm going to chain 5 now. 1 2 3 4 5, then go into this chain, skip 2, and into the 3rd one place a double crochet stitch. Then chain 5 again, go to the next space, skip 2 chains, and into the 3rd one place a double crochet stitch. And you're going to continue like this until you get to the end where I am going to do another reduction. So just continue this way, and I'll come back to tell you how to do reduction on the other end. So skip 2 chains into the third one, make a double crochet stitch. So just continue placing your mesh stitch until you get to this end, and I'm going to make another reduction on this end, so I'm going to show you that as well. So I am at this point now, and remember I said this chain 8 we did here stands for a double crochet stitch and chain 5. So to continue, I'm just going to chain 5 now. 1 2 3 4 5, and then I'm going to skip 2 chains, 1 2, and into the third chain I'm going to place a double crochet stitch. So into the third chain there, I'm going to place a double crochet stitch, and after that I'm going to come to this point and count 3 chains up, and into the third chain I'm going to place a double crochet stitch. So place a double crochet stitch into the third chain there. So this is what the reduction on this other side looks like. Then for the next row I'm going to chain 3, turn the project, and then go into the third chain 1 2, and into the third one I'm going to place a double crochet stitch. So that's the reduction done on this side at the beginning of this row. Next thing, I'm just going to chain 5 again and go into the middle stitch, which is the middle chain, which is the third chain here, and I'm going to place a double crochet stitch. From here I'm just going to continue working my mesh stitch until I get to the end of this row. So into the third chain 1 2, into the third one place a double crochet stitch, chain 5, 1 2 3 4 5, and go into the third chain 1 2 3, place a double crochet stitch. So please make sure you're going into the chain and you're not just working into the spaces. Just make sure you're going into the chain. So you're going to continue working until you get to this point, and here I am now. I'm going to make a reduction again. So chain 5, 1 2 3 4 5, and into the third chain place a double crochet stitch, and then I'm just going to go right into the double crochet stitch there and place a double crochet stitch. So into that double crochet stitch that we made in the previous row, I'm going to make a double crochet stitch. So I'm ending with a double crochet stitch, and that's it. For the next row I'm going to chain 3, still on my reduction. Then I'm going to go into the third chain and place a double crochet stitch, chain 5, go into the third chain, place a double crochet stitch, and then I'm just going to continue my mesh stitch until I get to the end where I'm going to do a reduction again. So I am at this end and I'm just going to show you how to do a reduction one more time. So I've chained 5, I'm going to go into the third chain and place a double crochet stitch at this end. Then I'm going to go right into that double crochet stitch and place a double crochet stitch. And for the next row, chain 3, turn the project, go into the third chain and place a double crochet stitch, chain 5, and continue this way. And I'm going to be making reductions on both ends until I get to the end of the row. So continue like this until you get to the end. Place reductions on the both sides, and here is a summary of how to do the decreases on the both sides. So this is what I mean. This is how I'm going to be decreasing until I come to the point where I have just one space left. So continue this way and I'll come back to tell you what to do next. So I have worked this until I have 2 spaces left. So to end this, I'm going to chain 3 reductions just as usual. Chain 3, turn the project and count 2 chains and skip those 2 chains, and into the third one place a double crochet stitch, chain 5. So go here, skip 2 chains, and into the third one place a double crochet stitch. And since there are no chains to skip anymore, I'm just going to go right into that double crochet stitch and place a double crochet stitch. And after that, I am going to chain 3. So this is going to be our very last reduction decrease. So chain 3, turn the project, go into the third chain, make a double crochet stitch, and then go into the last double crochet stitch there from the previous row and make a double crochet stitch. And that's it, guys. Chain 1 and cut the yarn. Alright, so once I'm done with this part, I am going to be working shell stitches on the edges. So I'm going to work in shell stitches on the edges until this point. So this is what I'm going to be doing now. So this is just show you on my other top what I'm going to be doing next. So for the shell stitch, I'm going to start from this side. Alright, so I'm going to start by making a slip knot, and I'm going to insert my crochet hook into the slip knot. Then I'm going to go to this last stitch there. Then I'll grab a loop from there, yarn over and pull through the 2 loops on the hook. Then I'm going to go into that space there and make 5 double crochet stitches. And after that, I'll go to the next space and place a single crochet stitch. And then I'll move to the next space and place 5 double crochet stitches. So 5 double crochet stitches into that space. And after that, I'm going to go into the next space and place a single crochet stitch. And then into the next space, I'm going to place 5 double crochet stitches. So into the next space, a single crochet stitch, and into the next space. So I'm working into the next big spaces. I hope you can see it. So into the next big spaces. So into the next space now, I'm going to place a single crochet stitch, and into the next space 5 double crochet stitches. So continue like this until you get to the end, that is to the down part. So into the next single crochet stitch and 5 double crochet stitches. So this is what it looks like, and you're going to continue until you get to that end. So here I've worked all of these shells and I'm at this point now, and into that last space I'm going to make my single crochet stitch, and I'm going to go into the next space now and make 5 double crochet stitches. And after that, I'll go to the next space and place a single crochet stitch, and into the next space 5 double crochet stitches. So this is what that down part looks like. So I'm just going to continue placing my shell stitches until I get to this point here. So continue and I'll meet you at that point. Alright, so I am at this point now, and because I want to end this side with a shell stitch, I have made a single crochet stitch at this point before. I'm going to make another single crochet stitch, so another single crochet stitch before I now make my shell stitch at the end. All right, so into the last space I'm going to make 5 double crochet stitches. So I just want to make sure I end with 5 double crochet stitches into the last space, because that is exactly how it is on the other side. So this is how it looks, and I just want to end there with 5 double crochet stitches, and then I'm going to end with a single crochet stitch into that stitch, chain 1, then cut the yarn, and I'm ready to start working on the second mesh stitch part. So for the second mesh part, I'm going to turn the project like this, and then I'll go to this point. So I'm going to make my slip knot, so I'm going to be attaching my yarn here at this point. So I'm going to insert my hook there, grab my slip knots into the project, then I'm going to chain 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this, remember, this 8 chains stand for a double crochet stitch and chain 5. So what I'm going to do next is to skip 5 stitches, and into the 6th one I'm going to place a double crochet stitch. So just the way we did the mesh, we started the mesh stitch. So chain 5, skip 5 stitches, and into the 6th one place a double crochet stitch, chain 5 and skip 5 stitches, and into the 6th one place a double crochet stitch. And you're just going to continue like this until you get to where the other mesh started. So I have worked until this point now, and I have 5 stitches left, so I just got lucky. So if you have 4 stitches, chain 4. So since I have 5 stitches, I am going to chain 5. If you have 3 stitches, chain 3. If you have 2 stitches, chain 2. If you have 1 stitch, chain 1. So I'm going to go to the middle of these double crochet stitches, these 5 double crochet stitches, and make a slip stitch. So into the 3rd double crochet stitch amongst the 5 double crochet stitches, I am going to make a slip stitch. Then I'm going to make slip stitches into the remaining stitches until I get to where I did the single crochet stitch. So until that point. So just to show you what's going on here, when I got to these 5 double crochet stitches, I did slip stitch into the 3rd one until I got to the single crochet stitch there. Then for the next row I chained 5, turn the project, and since we have 5 chains here, I'm going to go to the middle of the 5 chains, which is the 3rd chain, and make a double crochet stitch. So if you did 4 chains, 3 chains, or 1 chain, just locate the one that looks like it's the middle one and make your double crochet stitch. So you can see for this my other top, I did just 1 chain, and I totally just skipped it and went to the middle of the next 5 chains and continued working. So I'm just going to go to the middle of that chain 5 there, which is the 3rd chain, and then I'm going to make a double crochet stitch, chain 5, and go to the middle of the 5 chains, make a double crochet stitch, and I'm just going to continue making my mesh stitch as before. So double crochet stitch there, chain 5, and so when I come to this part, I'm going to end with a decrease as well. So chain 5, go into the 3rd chain, make a double crochet stitch. Then I'm going to count 3 chains from here, 1, 2, 3, and into the 3rd chain I'm just going to place a double crochet stitch there. Alright, so that's the reduction done on this part. Then I'm going to chain 3, turn the project and count 3 chains. So skip 2 chains, and into the third one make a double crochet stitch, chain 5, and into the next one, the middle chain, make a double crochet stitch. So the mesh stitch just as before, chain 5, and then you're just going to continue your mesh stitch until you get to this point where I'm going to show you how to attach to that part again. So I'm at this point now, and I'm going to make my chain 5, 1 2 3 4 5. Then I'm going to go to the middle of the 5 double crochet stitches, which is the third stitch, and then I'm going to make a slip stitch there. Into the next stitch, make another slip stitch. Into the next stitch, a slip stitch. Then I'm going to go into the single crochet stitch and make the last slip stitch. So slip stitch into the third double crochet stitch, the fourth, the fifth, and into the single crochet stitch. And for the next row, chain 5, turn the project and go into the middle of the chain 5 and make a double crochet stitch. Then chain 5, and you're just going to continue the mesh stitch until you get to this end where you're going to do a decrease. So I am at this end. I'm going to make a reduction. So into the third chain, make a double crochet stitch, and then go into that double crochet stitch there, make a double crochet stitch, chain 3, the reduction for the next row. Then go into the third chain here and make a double crochet stitch, chain 5, go into the third chain, make a double crochet stitch, continue the double crochet stitch as before, and then until you get to this point where you're going to locate the middle stitch out of these 5 double crochet stitches, and you're going to make a slip stitch into the third one. The middle one is the third one, so you're going to make a slip stitch into the third one, slip stitch into the 4th double crochet stitch, slip stitch into the 5th double crochet stitch, and slip stitch into the single crochet stitch. Then chain 5, turn the project and continue. So I have worked it for these rows. So yes, I've done 6 rows of that, and I'm going to start making reductions on this other part. So this is the reduction I'm going to start making now. So take note that if you keep working your rows down, your other panel is going to come and equal to this other panel. But if you want your panel to be shorter, then you have to work less rows for this part. So I have worked 6 rows now, and I'm going to start making my reductions on the other side now. Alright, so I'm going to show you how to end things here now. So I finished making my chain 5, and I'm just going to go to the middle of these 5 chains I made. So into the third chain, just as usual, I'm going to make my double crochet stitch, and after that I'm going to go into the space where the chain 5 is coming from. So into that single crochet stitch, I'm going to place a double crochet stitch. So this is what it looks like. So I'm going to chain 3 now. Continue, turn the project, locate the middle chain, which is the third one, place a double crochet stitch, then chain 5 and continue my mesh stitch as usual. So go into the third chain, place my double crochet stitch, chain 5. So I'm just going to continue working my decreases on this side and on the other side as before until I get to this point. So I have 1 space left. I'm just going to chain 3, go into the middle chain, which is the third one, place my double crochet stitch, and then go into that double crochet stitch there and place my last double crochet stitch, chain 1 and cut. So I did the decreases on the both sides just like I have been doing before. So I know we've seen that part before, and I don't want, this video is already very long. So I did decreases here for just 3 rows. So after that I'm going to make the shell stitches now. So I did my slip knot, just inserted it into my hook, going to put it into that stitch there, grab a loop from behind, yarn over and pull through the 2 loops on the hook. Then I'm just going to go into that big space and make 5 double crochet stitches there. And after that, I'm going to go into the next space and make a single crochet stitch. So I'm going to make the shell stitches here just like before. So I'm just going to let this play so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm just doing the shell stitch like I did before, and I'm just going to do this shell stitch around this second part of the mesh until I get to the other side. So when you get to this point, just do your single crochet stitch and continue all the way back up. So I'm back to this part now, and I'm just going to end with a single crochet stitch. So this is what I've worked. I'm just going to end there with a single crochet stitch, then chain 1, and I'm done with the top. So what's left now is for me to just make chains and attach these chains to the back of the top for tying it. So this is my chain. I made a long chain, and I'm just going to go ahead and attach it on the sides just like this. So you can absolutely attach this one any way that you like. It's nothing serious, but I'm going to be attaching mine in a cross pattern. So just attach the chain and we're done with the top. And I hope you like this tutorial, and if you do, please don't forget to leave a comment, like this video, and if you get stuck at any point, please don't hesitate to leave a comment, because I'm going to be answering all of your questions in the comment section. All right, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next tutorial. Bye.